Hi, second graders. It's Mr. Heber, and I am your mystery reader for this week. How many of you guessed that it was me? Yeah, my clues were a little bit all over the place. Did you guys understand the friend of a prince clue? If you spell out principal, the last three letters in principal are PAL, which makes the word pal. So I kind of made a little play on a word there and said that I was a pal or a friend of a prince, which if you put it together, that forms the word principal, and that's what I am here at Patrick Henry Elementary. So first of all, I hope you guys are all doing well. I miss you guys a lot. I'm usually out here at the school every day, and it's just not the same seeing the empty hallways and the empty playgrounds. Hopefully we'll get back before the end of the school year and we'll see each other before summer. I really would love to read this story to you in your classroom, but we're going to go a different route this time and going to try to put together a little video that you guys can watch and Miss Schrader can share with you. Actually went down to the library just a few minutes. I'm out the school right now, and just went down to the library and picked out a book that I actually have never read before. But when I looked at it, there was something familiar about it, and I wanted to share that with you. So today I am going to read you a book called The Field Mouse and the Dinosaur Named Sue. Now, this might sound like a pretty basic book to you, and at first it did to me too. However, the name Sue kind of caught me, and I remember when probably 3 or 4 years ago, our family went to Chicago, and we went to a place called the Field Museum. And in the Field Museum was the main attraction. They had a lot of things that you could see there, a lot of really neat things. But the main attraction of that museum was a T-Rex dinosaur, full scale, had all the bones. It was right in the center of the museum, and it was this new. I had just gotten there. They had only had it for maybe a few weeks, so as you can imagine, people were flocking from all over to see this T-Rex dinosaur, and the name of that dinosaur was Sue, and so. We spent the day there, watched a 3D video on how they discovered and found all of Sue's bones, and how the scientists felt that she was, how she lived her life, and maybe how she died. So it was really interesting. But when I was looking through the books in the library today and I saw this, I thought to myself, this would be a great book for me to read because I've actually been there. I've actually been to the Field Museum. I've seen Sue. And so, it's really interesting. So I'm reading this for the first time to you guys, just like you're hearing it for the first time. But there'll be some things in here that will bring back memories to me and the fun that my family and I had when we went to the Field Museum a few years back. So here is The Field Mouse and the Dinosaur Named Sue. Now, I'm going to apologize because it's a little challenging to read this and make sure I have everything in the video. So I'll do my best to have me reading it and also be able to show you the pictures. So The Field Mouse and the Dinosaur Named Sue by Jan Wall. Early one morning, Field Mouse heard strange noises outside his burrow. Some loud, some soft. Scritch, scratch, chip, bang. His house had a roof made of an old bone. Field Mouse peered into the hot day. People with shovels, scrapers, and picks dug into the bluff above. Carefully, slowly. So there's a picture of him sleeping. You can see a bone up above him. And so we're going to find out what's going on. "Oh my," cried a young woman, "look at this beautiful thing." She showed the others a bone like his roof. Old bones lay all over the place. They were no good for chewing on. They were like rock. In fact, they were rock. That day and the next, diggers kept digging. Field Mouse had to see what was happening. In the afternoon, he wished to take a nap. He scurried back to the home he had known his whole life. So there you can see a picture of all the people digging for bones there. And there's Field Mouse taking it all in. What do you think is going to happen to his home? Do you think he's going to be able to stay there, or do you think that that these diggers are eventually going to get to where he's living and he's going to have to relocate? We'll see. When he got home, he saw a terrible sight. His burrow was torn open. The roof was gone. They took my bone away. Now I must find it, he decided. Packing boxes lay here and there. Old bones were wrapped in burlap and placed gently in wooden boxes. A worker put a cheese sandwich down on the edge of a box. The cheese sandwich fell in. Field Mouse thought his bone might be just in that box too, so he climbed in. He sniffed and poked, but he could not find his roof. Suddenly, a lid was put on the box. It grew black as pitch. The box was lifted onto a truck, and the truck drove off. At first, Field Mouse lay on the sandwich. His stomach rumbled from hunger. It kept him awake. The cheese smelled wonderful. Well, he decided, I'll try eating this. It was wonderful, but he missed his home. So there's Field Mouse right there. He gets into the box looking for his bone, looking for the last remnants of his home. And there, he got sealed into the box. And now who knows where he's going to end up. The box was taken to a place called Chicago, where they had a huge building. The building was called the Field Museum. And do you think that's why they called, even though it was a field mouse, and there is such thing as a field mouse, I bet they wanted to name the mouse Field Mouse because of the museum called the Field Museum. The box was put on a shelf in a cool place in a special room. So you can see the museum. And you can see a picture of a T-Rex dinosaur with the name Sue. So actually, my family and I walked up those steps just like all these people are doing. That's how we entered the museum as well. Who knows? Maybe we were there. Maybe we were one of the people that the illustrator put into the story. One morning, the lid on the box was opened. Field Mouse jumped out. On tables lay more bits and pieces of old bones, some large, some tiny. A man was studying them and didn't see him. Field Mouse looked and looked for his roof. He flicked his tail and ran when he heard voices. Sue, mumble, mumble, said one. Sue, mumble, said another. What is Sue? Wondered the mouse. He squeezed through an opening and in the wall and out of the room. So he heard people talking about Sue, but that's it. He couldn't make out the rest of what they were saying. He has no idea where he is. He has no idea who this Sue is. He just wants to find his home. He scampered onto a ledge, searching for his bone. He saw something so tall it reached to the sky of the hall. It was Field Mouse's first dinosaur. It had no skin or fur. Down below him, people gazed at the critter. They were small as insects. He grew dizzy and felt lost. So there's a picture of Sue. There's Field Mouse looking down at the people. And right at the middle of the museum is Sue. Field Mouse hid until nighttime. Then he crawled up to a window. Beyond, many lights of the city twinkled. Far off was a lake. It made him thirsty. He found water in a plastic cup someone left on the floor. He tipped it over and drank. When visitors were gone, Field Mouse was free to run. He saw colors through another glass window. He didn't know it, but he was looking at Chicago as it was 410 million years ago. There were plants, corals, snails, and shells. He scratched to get in. This is him looking out at Chicago at night. And this is him looking at some of the artifacts, some of the things that are throughout the museum. Again, really cool museum. If you're ever in Chicago and you're given a choice of where you can go, check out the Field Museum. It's awesome. Field Mouse soon grew tired and pushed himself into a small space into the wall. There it was dark and he could close his eyes and remember home. When he awoke, he saw a man polishing the floor with a machine that whirred loudly and spun. Field Mouse almost got pulled into it. He wiggled and jumped. He raced down the length of the hall and past 2 elephants. He ran and ran until his legs wouldn't go anymore. Then he collapsed in a corner and fell asleep. Almost got swept up by the janitor. In daytime, if no visitors were near, Field Mouse crawled up and peered into a small place where people seemed very busy. They scraped at bones, big and little, or poured plaster on others. They were as careful as the diggers who found the bones had been. They looked odd because they wore masks. Dust flew in the air as they took tiny stones away from old bones. There was a lot to explore. Every room was different, but he found more people working on bones. Maybe one bone was his roof. He kept searching. So what they're doing is they're cleaning off the bones very delicately, because these bones are millions of years old. So you don't want to ruin that. You don't want to damage it. So they're being very delicate in what they are doing. And they need to take each bone one at a time and handle it with care. Mostly, Field Mouse hid behind walls. It was best to come out only at night. He learned to tunnel from one room into another, squeezing into the tiniest crack. One day he entered a great high room with plants big as trees, giant dragonflies big as birds. This was Chicago 300 million years ago. He sniffed and sniffed. Nothing was real, nothing to nibble on. He missed his home. So this is what Chicago looked like 310 million years ago. But it's all fake. It's all to show people in a museum. They don't have the real things because they don't exist anymore. But so Field Mouse is a little bit confused that he sees trees, he sees plants, he sees things that he might normally nibble on, but they're not real. Field Mouse felt he would never find his bone. There were so many strange creatures all around him. He liked to look at Dimetrodon. The eyes were empty holes but seemed to stare at him. He began to explore Apatosaurus. Its tail alone was 30 feet. The critters became his friends. They had so many bones. Field Mouse thought Triceratops was scary. Did these critters have fur like him? Were they lizards? Field Mouse found it was fun to climb up their backs and slide down to the floor. He took naps where he could, but wished he had a cozy spot of his own. So again, if you go to the real Field Museum, they would have different types of dinosaurs on display, all kinds of different animals. It's really cool. Then one morning, there it was, all put together, the Sue they talked about, the biggest T-Rex in the world. She was 67 million years old. Of course, he didn't know that. A lot of people stood in front admiring her. She had peculiar, short, stubby arms. Poor thing, thought Field Mouse. How did she ever pick up a piece of cheese? Now, do you really think dinosaurs ate cheese? No. See how big Sue, if you can look at all the people in the background, that's how big Sue is compared to hundreds of people. Really neat. Later that night, the hall lay empty, except for Sue and Field Mouse. He walked up to each foot. He climbed onto her toes and crawled up a leg. Slowly he climbed up, searching. In coming down, he stopped in the middle of the other foot. His bone! His very own bone! He chattered to Sue. She kept silent. Under his bone it was dark and cool and safe, a fine place for his secret nest. He made it with bits of paper, smooth and round. Maybe Sue had been a terrible angry hunter once, crashing through forests of tall magnolia or oak trees, but now she was quiet and gentle. Field Mouse was sure she was singing a soft song. Under the foot he dreamed a happy dream. He was home. So we found his bone. Of all the thousands of different bones that it took to put Sue together, he found the one that was his, and he knows it. He knew it because it had been in his home for so long. And it just so happened it was a bone in her foot, and it made a perfect little shelter for him. So here's the true story of Sue. Sue is found in the dry, rolling hills of South Dakota. Sue has captured the imagination of people throughout the world, declared the largest and most complete T-Rex ever found. Sue's immense size and near perfect condition make her nothing less than the find of the century. Her story began in 1990 when a fossil hunter named Sue Hendrickson happened upon some bones jutting out of a cliff. After Sue's bones were painstakingly removed from their rocky resting place, a journey began which lasted several years. In 1997, Sue's new home was announced, the Field Museum of Chicago. The knowledge scientists at the Field Museum and around the world will gain from Sue in the decades to come cannot be measured. Unveiled to the public in the spring of 2000, Sue stands tall once again, a breathtaking testament to a long ago time when these powerful and mysterious creatures roamed the earth. And that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the story. Obviously it is a story about a mouse and a dinosaur, but the neat thing about this is that the dinosaur that they're talking about, the dinosaur named Sue, has been, I don't know if she still is displayed at the Field Museum, but I know she has been displayed there, and my family had the opportunity to go visit and see her. It was really neat. Again, if you're ever in Chicago and you are seeing sights and doing some things and planning your days, definitely check out the Field Museum. Even if Sue's not there, they have a ton of great, interesting things to see about our history and about different animals and Native Americans and all sorts of things that are really cool to see and enjoy. And right next door to the Field Museum is Shedd Aquarium. So there's a huge aquarium that you can see a lot of sea life and things like that in. And then if it happens to be in the fall and you're a Bears fan, right across the street is Soldier Field where the Chicago Bears play. So a nice little area where there's a lot to do and a lot to see. But if you can ever make it over to Field Museum, it's really interesting. So that's it, guys. Again, miss you all. Hope you're safe, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.